Are you thinking about trying the carnivore diet? Well, I don't know. The Google gods have declared that you don't know what you're doing. Have you thought about nutritional deficiencies, increased risk of heart disease, gut health issues, stress on your kidneys, increased risk of colon cancer? Oh my God, this sounds horrific. Why is it that this is what I get when I actually Google carnivore diet dangers? It's interesting. Why don't we talk about it today on the Carnivore Science Channel? Hi, I'm Liz. Welcome to the channel. I am a medical technologist and pharmaceutical chemist with over 30 years of experience in the healthcare sector and pharmaceutical and medical device industry. I'm also a carnivore. I have been one since November of 2022. It radically changed my life for the better, and that is an understatement. But if you're new to carnivore and you're trying to figure out whether you want to try it or not, if it's right for you, etc., how do you know what to listen to? How do you know who to listen to? Because there's a lot of really scary arguments out there. Things like cancer and the stuff mentioned earlier in the intro. How do you know what to do? Where do you go? How do you figure this out? Well, there's a lot of good people in this space who have a lot of education and background in medicine who are pushing for this, and they give their arguments. There's also a lot of really good resources for you to just research and figure it out for yourself. And there's also a lot of really bad actors pushing an agenda. You need to know what that agenda is and how to look for sources of information that are not coming from a space like that. So why don't we get into this? Okay, let's start here with this channel called Talking with Docs. So these are people inside of the medical community, the medical industrial complex, as I call it. This is an enormous industry where physicians are actually chastised for thinking outside of the box or pursuing alternate means that are not deemed appropriate by the establishment medical community. So keep that in mind as you're listening to this. And you'll kind of notice there's a lot of ridicule in their voices and in the way they present things, which is, in my opinion, very unprofessional. And I think that doesn't say very good things about these people in particular. I'm not trying to insult anyone, but, well, you just judge for yourself. Let's take a look.
Carnivore diet, time for me to start it.
Wait, what?
Not just joking. But what we are talking about today is this carnivore diet that is very popular and has a bunch of issues with it that honestly is going to create a lot of controversy because these people are very passionate.
I think anyone who has an extreme diet is passionate.
100%.
If you're like carnivore,
keto, vegan,
yeah.
Whatever, you name it.
You don't see people come in, I am so passionate about a balanced diet. That just doesn't happen. People who go into these extreme diets.
It's like a religion.
Really are passionate
Zealots.
about it. Right.
Okay, so
Okay, that's the first one that you're going to hear, is that we're religious zealots. What to say about that? Well, if you're sick and you actually have no quality of life and you find something that transforms you and actually makes you feel like you did. I am 58 years old. I feel better than I did when I was in my 40s, when I was in my 30s. I feel like I'm back in my 20s. I have tremendous amounts of energy. I have lost around 100 pounds. Yeah, I'm passionate about that. And you know why I'm passionate about that? Because the medical community did nothing but make my situation worse and worse and worse. And they gave me a big basket full of pills to take. that caused me to not only get worse, but I also had created a lot more medical conditions from taking the medication. So yeah, if you want to call us religious zealots, you can. However, I think there's a lot of passion there because people who have this happen to them, they stop eating the standard American diet and they find out about other foods, even whole foods that are inflammatory that cause them problems. They want to share it with other people because we're nice people and we actually want to help others. Because if you're a normal, caring person and you realize something, a secret like this, or something that, not really secret, but like something that people don't realize, and you see them harming themselves and you want them to stop, or you want to tell them about it so that potentially they can stop, I don't really think I don't think that warrants ridicule. I really don't. And I think you should be passionate about it.
Let's start at the beginning of this diet. What is the carnivore diet?
Carnivore diet consists of eating animal products primarily, if not only.
Yeah, so the strictest form is truly only animal products.
That's right.
So that means no plants, no fruits, no vegetables, no nuts, no seeds, nothing. Just animal products.
Okay. It
seems like a good idea.
Seems obvious that it's not a good idea. I mean, I spent so many years telling my kids to eat their vegetables. I never thought I'd have to say it again now that they've grown up and they have kind of good eating habits.
Okay, the eat your vegetables thing, because the healthy thing is vegetables. Okay, there's a problem with this, and this is fact. This is a fact. We do not have, as humans, a fermenter digestive system. What that means is that in order to break down fiber and roughage and things, just high level, I'm not going to go deep into this, but you would have to have a fermenter digestive system. Some animals have fermenter digestive systems. We do not. That is why when you eat corn and a lot of other things, you see it again in the toilet because you can't do anything with it. There's very little you can do with it. There is something called bioavailability. Bioavailability means that it's something that your body can extract nutrients from. So there's a lot of myths around vegetables, like, oh, this has a lot of this vitamin, that vitamin, which may be true. You may have something that's completely full of like vitamin A, some type of vegetable. Can you get to it? Not so much. Like a lot of these vegetables you look at, you can't really even get the benefits of it because it's not bioavailable to you. You don't have the equipment to actually break it down. Now, that's not everything, and that's not every fruit and vegetable. But in a lot of cases, bioavailability causes a problem. There are also a tremendous amount of toxins, natural defense chemicals in plants. This is a fact. It is so much a fact that even the WHO has a site, has a web page that lists a bunch of these and goes into detail about how dangerous they can be. Now, if these toxins are present, and they are, and you're talking about, there's never been any organization who has pushed for the medical industrial complex more than the WHO. They're like the belly of the beast when it comes to a lot of this stuff, or when it comes to the status quo and health issues and trying to take control of everything. So let's just take a look though. All right, so you look here, World Health Organization. This is under their health topics. So if you go down, and I don't think I've cut it off. All right, key facts. Some natural toxins can be formed in food as defense mechanisms of plants through their infestation with toxin-producing mold, or through ingestion by animals of toxin-producing microorganisms. Natural toxins can cause a variety of adverse health effects. Natural toxins, okay, this is not even, this sentence is talking about just the natural toxins, can cause a variety of adverse health effects and pose a serious health threat to both humans and livestock. Some of these toxins are extremely potent. Adverse health effects can be acute poisoning, ranging from allergic reactions to severe stomach ache and diarrhea, even death. Long-term health consequences includes effects on the immune, reproductive, or nervous system, and also cancer. A scientific expert committee jointly convened by WHO and the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations, called JECFA, is the international body responsible for evaluating the health risk from natural toxins in food. There's an entire committee looking at this. International standards and codes and practices to limit exposure to natural toxins from certain foods are established by the Codex, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going into that. So if you look here, what are natural toxins? Natural toxins are toxic compounds that are naturally produced by living organisms. These toxins are not harmful to the organisms themselves, but they may be toxic to other creatures, including humans when eating. The reason, and it says here, the chemical compounds have diverse structures and differ in biological function and toxicity. The reason plants have toxins, they've evolved over time to develop these chemical responses to stop other animals from eating them. Otherwise, they would be completely, just done away with. They wouldn't exist. You have different types here. They go over aquatic biotoxins, toxins formed by algae in the ocean and freshwater. And I'm not going to read all of this, but I'll put the link below so you can, because you need to be aware of what it is you're putting in your mouth. Another example is cyanogenic glycosides. These are phytotoxins produced by plants, which occur in at least 2,000 plant species, of which a number of species are used as food in some areas of the world. Cassava, sorghum, stone fruits. Did it say stone fruits? Stone fruits, bamboo roots, and almonds are especially important foods containing cyanogenic glycosides. So you've got, here we go, let's see, furocoumarins. These toxins, and it says coumarin, so I'm going to bet you this has something to do with related to the medicine coumarin, I would imagine. These toxins are present in many plants such as parsnips, closely related to carrots, and parsley, celery roots, citrus plants, lemon, lime, grapefruit, bergamot, and some medicinal plants. Fucocoumarins are stress toxins and are released in response to stress, such as physical damage to the plant. Some of these toxins can cause gastrointestinal problems in susceptible people. Furocoumarins are phototoxic. They can cause severe skin reactions under sunlight. While many occurring after dermal exposure, such reactions have also been reported after consumption of large quantities of vegetables containing high levels of furocoumarins. That's kind of interesting that it has that name in it. I was expecting it to say something about causing some kind of bleeding. I don't know enough about it, but lectins. Okay, beans have a lot of lectins in them. As few as 4 or 5 raw beans can cause severe stomachache, vomiting, and diarrhea. Lectins are destroyed when the dried beans are soaked for at least 12 hours and then boiled vigorously for at least 10 minutes in water. Tinned kidney beans have already had this process applied and can be used without further treatment. Mycotoxins. Now, as a microbiologist, this is something I was really well aware of. Mycotoxins are naturally occurring toxic compounds produced by certain types of molds. Molds that can produce mycotoxins grow on numerous foodstuffs such as cereals, dried fruits, nuts, and spices. Mold growth can occur before harvest or after harvest, during storage, or in the food itself under warm, damp, and humid conditions. Okay, you have, and it just goes on and on. I'm not going to go through all of these, but the vegetables are healthy thing. There's 2 different groups of people typically that do carnivore. There are people with health conditions, pain, suffering, medical conditions that the medical community just gave up on them or just keep making worse, or they don't do anything for you. And then there's people who want to lose weight. If you are a person who has just gotten worse and worse and worse medically, and you are looking for hope, in order to figure out why you are having these conditions, you need to stay away from vegetables, particularly. Most people who are losing weight, if you want to lose weight on carnivore, it's extremely effective. It involves you becoming fat adapted, and carnivore is a higher fat diet typically. You need the fats. The fats are part of the animal that actually has a lot of benefit. It has a lot of nutrients, and we are easily able to digest that. We are not able to break down a lot of this other stuff, and it comes with a lot of toxins. Inflammation is what causes most people's problems. Most of the problems in the world is due to severe inflammation. We are not supposed to be putting toxic substances in our mouth. We are not supposed to be consuming processed foods. This is very, very harmful. So eat your vegetables and, a nice balanced diet and grains and hoo-ha and whatnot, and you can go dig into grains some more. This is just one example. You can find out about what grains do to you. And grains are highly, highly inflammatory. We can't break a lot of this stuff down properly. That is why people are on an animal-based diet. That it's working. It's working very effectively. So this is just one example. This is one resource you can go to. They're telling the truth. This is true. These things are true. And we've known about this for a long, long time. I'm very surprised I never put it together, actually. Over the years, when it comes to processed foods and things like that, I would always look at the back as a chemist. I would look at the back of the label and go, there's no way this can be good at all. There is no way this can be good for us to be consuming all of these different preservatives and things. But never really put it together because I was an actual product of the establishment. But going back to our physician friends here, let's see what they have to say.
Habits, but here we are.
Right. So there are some wild animals and other animals that are obligate carnivores. We are not them. So the thought behind this diet is talking about our ancestors way back, who knows even how many 10,000 or whatever million years ago that you think.
How do you know we're not obligate carnivores? The fact that you can do something or you can eat certain things or your body can tolerate it doesn't mean that that's kind of how you're designed at this point in the evolutionary scheme of things. We do not have a fermenter digestive system. I repeat, what are you getting out of the vegetables outside of stomach upset? All of the people I have seen that go with digestive issues with IBS or Crohn's disease get worse and worse and worse, and they are told to eat more and more and more fiber. As they do, they become worse and worse and worse. Do they go on, I believe it's Humira? Do they go on the new drugs? Does that alleviate some of her symptoms? Maybe sometimes. But is it curing anything? 100% not. There's a trend here. I think that you can put the pieces together. Fiber is like, in my opinion, a big Brillo pad going through your intestines. That is not something that you want. You can't do anything with a lot of this stuff. You can't do anything with a lot of these vegetables. That is why. Again, are all vegetables created equal? No. But this is something, if you're trying to fix your medical condition, you have to look at the facts of what reality is. I think that after the whole pandemic thing, that this trust your experts and the ridicule and the people, who are in these spaces that are laughing at people who are trying to research, educate themselves, and find out what works. We get results. The carnivores get results. We fixed multiple medical conditions that you failed to fix. Your medicines failed to fix it. It just masked symptoms. It just alleviated a little bit of suffering sometimes. Sometimes it makes things worse. A lot of times it makes things worse. But one thing that your medications that you prescribe for all of these conditions, the diseases of the West, the one thing it doesn't do, it doesn't cure anything. And it hasn't for a very long time. My medical conditions are cured. My indigestion, severe indigestion, is cured. My insomnia is cured. My fibromyalgia that you medicated me on a controlled substance for so many years is cured. And much, much, much more. So explain to me, if you're looking at results-driven studies, okay, and you're using your brain, your God-given brain, to actually critically think. You keep going to physicians, you keep going into the medical industrial complex, and they keep making you sicker, and they keep drugging you up, and they keep putting you in danger. Or you can watch what it is you put in your mouth, and you see remarkable results. This is all true. I am not telling anyone a lie. If you look at this image, you can clearly see what it looks like to be miserable. This is life-changing. I was so miserable. I am bloated. I'm overweight. I was inflamed. I was in pain. and I'm not anymore. So that is the results. You have on the left, you have the results of the medical industrial complex. And then on the right, you have an animal-based diet. That's it. So let's listen to a little bit more of what they have to say.
Think how they ate high-fat, high-protein diets. And some fossil studies have shown that maybe this is true, but other studies have clearly shown they actually did eat a fair number of plants. But the reason that
they lived to 32.
Yeah, that's right, because you're being chased by like a dinosaur or whatever, if you believe that. So, but what it means,
we never overlapped with the dinosaurs.
What it means is that these people did not have food security. So when you found an animal or you happened to kill an animal by hunting, you ate as much as you could because you didn't know when your next meal was coming. And usually what was available were animals. There was not regular farming. They were not.
If we as a species, if that was an unsuccessful way of living, we would be extinct as humans. We wouldn't be here today. And for really, really long periods of time, that is the primary source of food. There were other foods, other plant foods occasionally that people would eat. They were local. It was very different. They were local and they weren't clones. All of the plants nowadays are pretty much clones. You didn't have the type of genetically modified and sugar bomb type of plants and vegetables or fruits and vegetables that we have today. So it's a very different type of local plants that I think were being eaten based on all of the research. So if we were so ridiculously ignorant and we needed modern science to tell us, what to do in order to thrive, then why are we here now? Why did we make it here? So, I don't really like that argument based on the fact that the agricultural industry is pretty much in its infancy based on the length of time that we actually were eating animals. So that's my take on that part.
Industrialized farm practices. There were not stores where you go buy food. Like nowadays, we have unlimited access to food. So this is one of the arguments that, hey, our ancestors do it, maybe we should do it.
Okay, Mutual of Omaha. But now people are talking about carnivore diets for other reasons.
You know that show that they used to stage those catching of the animals?
Really?
Yeah, I was disappointed to learn that when I was a kid, it was always on Sunday nights, and we'd watch it, and they would catch the animal, and then they would release them, and then film them catching them again. But it seemed like it was like so real. But
it did.
I know, very disappointing. Anyways, go ahead.
Nobody out there probably remembers Mutual of Omaha.
Our viewers do, because they're in that demographic. They probably did. Leave a comment if you watch Mutual of Omaha.
Okay, but the modern day carnivore is drawn to the carnivore diet because they may have seen some immediate results of, hey, this is really working. I'm losing weight. I'm trying this carnivore diet. I'm feeling good and I'm losing weight. Why is that?
Okay, so yeah, definitely it's popular with the gym bros and the gym bro science and people really trying to increase their muscle mass because of the protein count. The reason
that pick up on how dumb they made that guy look, like not against it's a very attractive guy, but it's like, I don't know, he just looked like the gym bros and they made him look like a moron. Like, nice work, buddy.
It has potential to help early on is for a bunch of reasons. So one, when you eat a diet that's very restrictive, regardless of what it is, chances are your calories are going to go down. So
elimination, you're eliminating other foods.
Yeah, so you reduce the calories, so this can show weight benefits, but when you eliminate these other foods, you're eliminating a whole bunch of things. So you're eliminating anything from a box, which we would say you should do anyway, so highly processed foods. You're eliminating highly refined grains. You're eliminating sugary snacks.
Okay, now what they're preaching on here is true. It is absolutely true. When people start a carnivore diet, a lot of the reasons they feel better, depending on what they used to eat. If they ate standard American diet, just the fact that you stopped eating all the garbage will help your health improve. So that is one part of the story that's actually true. But like I said, there are just different types of people who actually go to carnivore. There are the people who want to lose weight, the people who want to fix their health. And a lot of people find out that it was a standard American diet that was doing it to them. So what I'll say here, and I'm not going to keep going through this entire video. You can watch this. The link will be in the description below. But the point is that everything here that they talk about is basically, well, we're the experts. The medical industry is the experts. We said, so you do it. You do not question our authority. You don't question the narrative. In the 90s, everybody believed that you can't eat 1 ounce of animal fat. You got to stay away from all animal fats. You've got to, get rid of all of that. And we didn't eat we were eating dry chicken and rice. Like, you can lose weight doing that if you're just eating like something like that. Well, I don't know if I was eating rice. I think I was keeping it lower carb, but I wasn't consuming fats. I felt like crap. And people were getting unhealthy because you need cholesterol. Your brain is made of mostly cholesterol. All of your sex hormones are made of cholesterol. What we did to ourselves in the 90s, because we believed the status quo, we believed the experts about all of that, they were wrong. And a lot of times science is wrong. And then what would happen historically, sometimes, is you would have scientists who actually look for the truth, and they would go out and they would do experiments, and they would go, oh my God, we were wrong about this. And they would promote it, and they would actually tell people, hey, this is not the way. We found out some things, and you should do this as opposed to this. In modern times, science doesn't work that way anymore. A premise is actually put forth, a hypothesis, something that people believe to be true. It's put out there, and industries are born from it. Profitable, more money than God industries come from it. After that happens, there is no going back in a lot of cases. Scientists are not able to make change or definitively do studies and say, hey, we found out this, that, and the other thing, and it's not actually good for you. And then it's reversed and the decisions are changed, because once you have multi-billion dollar industries, and even bigger than that, built on something, no one's going to be allowed to actually change the narrative. It's not something that happens. So if you think about it this way, you have the medical industry that is really making all of their money on drugs, on pushing drugs, on having patients hospitalized, having procedures, having drugs. Think about the fact that if this is true, and that if you change the standard American diet, and if you change a lot of these things, you're not going to have people, you're not going to have patients, you're not going to have this cash flow. What do you think is going on? Similarly, you have the agricultural industry. Look at all the cereals that are being made. Look at all of the grains, whole grain. Look at how many whole grain products that people eat, or refined sugars and refined grains. It is a huge industry. It's a lot of money. And all of a sudden, like, something that when people realize, like, hey, you know why you're so sick? You know why you're going to the hospital all the time? You know why you don't have a quality of life? It's because of all this crap. They stop eating all the crap, that hurts their pocketbook. So this is what I'm talking about. If you look at a source of information and it is status quo, it's mainstream, you're looking at the backing of this type of industry. You're looking at these industries that'll be hurt by the truth actually going out to people. So this is the way the world works. It always has. As a pharmaceutical insider, I've seen this up close and personal. It is ugly. It is about the bottom line. There are people out there, doctors out there, who care. There are people like Ken Berry, Anthony Chafee, there's a lot of people, and I'll link some of these people below, who actually want to see their patients improve. But there's a lot that are just brainwashed into the system. They are not taught any of this. Nutrition science is a joke. That is an oxymoron. Nutrition science is not a thing. When you look at all of these claims, like red meat causes cancer and things like that, what they do is they do surveys. Like, they'll ask you, how much meat did you eat in a year? How the hell is anybody going to know that? That's ridiculous. Or how many times do you eat at McDonald's or something? But they're not looking at what you eat, or how you eat it, or how often you eat it, or anything else. This is not scientific in any way, shape, or form. So be careful of where you get your information. There are good places to get information, and there's things that, that nobody knows everything. And if they act like they do know everything, then you need to be worried about it. But overall, Let the results speak for themselves. Trust your own body. I trust my body. I healed my conditions. I was very, very sick. I am no longer very, very sick. When I eat vegetables, they inflame me. They make my body inflamed. That means they are bad for me. When I eat certain vegetables, whatever that is, it is bad because it causes inflammation and causes harm. If it was so good, it would not cause inflammation and cause harm. I also lost over 100 pounds. If I continued to eat most vegetables, I would not have done that. Now keto did work for a lot of the weight loss. Like keto is actually the gateway drug to carnivore, in my opinion. But a lot of people do keto and they don't feel any inflammation. I believe that over time, I think as you get older, you will feel the effects of things that you didn't feel the effects of before. And that doesn't mean that they're not inflaming things in your body. It means that you might not be able to feel it, I think, if you're younger or if you don't have other complicating medical conditions and things like that. But it's just stuff to take into consideration. Again, I am a proponent of the carnivore diet. It has healed me in so many ways. And I'll put a video up here discussing my story and all of the things that it has done for me in case you're interested. But that's my spiel, and I think that no matter the hype, you need to do the research for yourself. Draw your own conclusions. Try it for yourself and see if it doesn't work. See how much better you feel. And if that's the case, how is it bad if all of your conditions are gone and you get your quality of life back? How exactly is that logical that it's dangerous? Isn't it more dangerous to be sick and to be hospitalized and to be medicated? I think so. Anyway, I hope this helps you guys, and if you would like the video, I would appreciate it, and if you want to, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.